What's more perfect than exploring new cultures while soaking up the sun and dipping your toes in turquoise waters? Doing these things with your family and, of course, your brothers and sisters from Wisdom for the Blind. Wisdom for the Blind is pleased to announce its first Caribbean Forum to be held on board Royal Caribbean's Harmony of the Seas. This dreamy vacation will be filled with thrilling experiences such as surfing, rock climbing, and even an electrifying 10-story plunge in the tallest slide at sea. This is not your average family getaway. There's fun and entertainment for all ages, but you'll also have learning workshops in technology and medical breakthroughs focused on the blind and vision impaired. We will sail from beautiful Miami on October 15th, 2023, visiting fabulous ports: Rotan in Honduras, Costa Maya and Cozumel in Mexico, and Royal Caribbean's private island, Coco Cay in the Bahamas. Add 2 spectacular days at sea, and while connecting with people that may experience the same challenges you do, you'll find unforgettable activities, make lasting memories, and soar to new heights. You'll learn about fascinating cultures and customs while tasting local delicacies and lounging in luxury. Wisdom for the Blind has also partnered with Operation Song, so you can have the opportunity to tell your service stories through songwriting. All of this and more starts at just $602 per person, based on double occupancy plus taxes and fees of $168. So what are you waiting for? Pack up your stuff, gather the crew, and head out on the open seas. You and your family will be talking about it for many years to come. Don't miss this great opportunity. Go to w4tb.org and find the button that says Caribbean Forum, or email us at forum@w4tb.org and book now. Space is limited. Don't forget to share the wisdom and tell a friend. You're listening to W4TB Radio from the Wisdom for the Blind Studios in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, where we share some wisdom to help you navigate the seas to stay in calm waters. Please visit us on the web at w4tb.org or drop us an email at feedback@w4tb.org. You can also download the W4TB radio app at the Apple Store or Google Play. Please share the knowledge and tell a friend. Now, back to the show.
You are listening to Share, the podcast that's all about helping empower the wisdom. From the Wisdom for the Blind Studios in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, here's your host, Mr. Douglas Cram.
Hey, Keith. Thanks for that great introduction. This is Share the Wisdom. I'm your host, Doug Cram. Today we are speaking with Leslie Hoskins from the Leader Dog Guide Dog School. Leslie, how are you doing?
I'm good, thanks.
How was your day?
It's going well. How about you? How are you doing today?
Good. Now, in my notes, I have that you're a certified orientation and mobility specialist. You were also a camp director at one time. And what is your job now?
So currently, I am the Outreach Services and Community Engagement Manager at Leader Dogs for the Blind. And I still get to do a little bit of those other roles as well.
Okay. The job you're doing now, what does that entail?
So doing outreach and community engagement, I'm really out there trying to share all the wonderful services that Leader Dog has to offer with other people, whether that be community members, potential clients, current graduates. The whole goal being client recruitment, so bringing more people in to receive services, but also bringing more people in to volunteer and puppy raise and hopefully donate to our organization as well so that we can keep providing these services.
Okay. Can you talk briefly about where you were born and where you went to high school?
Yeah, I was born in Jackson, Michigan. I went to school at Jackson Northwest. I graduated from high school there, and then I moved on. I spent 2 years at Michigan State University before transferring to Western Michigan University for my undergraduate.
And what degrees did you get in college?
For degrees, for my bachelor's degree, I actually have a degree in speech pathology and audiology from Western Michigan University. And then I returned back for my master's degree in blindness and low vision, orientation, and mobility. So that's a 1-year master's program with an internship as well. So it's a very small program, but it's a wonderful program. So go Broncos.
Had to get that in, huh?
Well, you have to throw in a little team spirit, right?
How did you happen to settle on becoming a mobility or orientation and mobility instructor and then working with the blind?
It's so funny. It's such a small field, and I really didn't know anything about it when I was doing my undergraduate, but I had graduated with speech pathology and audiology, and I was working actually at a restaurant for a while and not quite sure what I was going to do with my life. And I had a gentleman who used to come in all the time who was a professor actually at the university. And he used to always give me the, what are you going to do with your life spiel? And he actually suggested a couple different programs that I looked into, and blindness and low vision was one of the departments with orientation and mobility. And again, I had never heard of it before. So I went and I talked to the chair of the department at the time, and I kind of job shadowed and followed around a couple of people and thought it was the most amazing career possible. You get to work one-on-one with individuals. You get to go out and help people, but you're still working in the community. So it didn't really feel like work, walking around outside, teaching skills, going to grocery stores and malls, all to help improve somebody's quality of life or their mobility. I also have a couple of people in my family who had been losing their vision for macular degeneration. So I'd kind of been watching them go through this process. And so it kind of just fit. It was perfect timing. And I got really fortunate that I was accepted into the program, and definitely a big life change, but it was the perfect one for me, and I couldn't be happier.
How long have you been at Leader Dog?
I have been here for 8 years as a team member, but I joined kind of a year before that. I actually completed my practicum experience here and my internship. So it's been a little while.
The Leader Dog facility is in Rochester Hills. Where is that?
Rochester Hills, Michigan is kind of a suburb of Detroit. So it's kind of the southeast side of Michigan.
Okay. We're going to start talking about the Leader Dog program now. Can you give the telephone number for the facility?
Absolutely. You can reach us at 888-777-5332, and we're happy to answer any and all questions.
And can you give us the website address?
Yes, you can find us at leaderdog.org.
How would one go about applying to Leader Dog?
There's a couple different ways that people can apply. The easiest is to go to our website at leaderdog.org and pick which program you'd like to apply for and start an application online. But if that's not an option, you can also call us again at that number. We're happy to kind of start an application over the phone, or we can also send you a paper application. So a lot of times when we take those phone calls, we ask their most preferred method of contact or their preferred method of the application, and we can certainly do whatever was going to work best for them.
When clients enter the Leader Dog program, what are they going to be paying for the services?
All of the programs at Leader Dog are completely free. So we're really, really fortunate to all of our donors and the grants that we receive, because we don't receive any state or federal funding, nor do we receive insurance payments. And so everything that we do is because of the community and the support that we have. And all of it is completely free to clients. And that includes room, board, and airfare. So we fly people in from all over the U.S. and Canada for all of our programs. We pick them up at the airport, bring them back to our campus, and provide all the meals and the housing, all completely free. So there's never any expense kind of passed down to clients.
And that includes receiving a guide dog?
That is correct. There's no fee for the guide dog as well.
Can you talk about the history of the Leader Dog program?
Yeah, so we actually were established in 1939, and we were founded by 3 local kind of Detroit Lions Club members. And so from my understanding is that they had a friend who was visually impaired and had applied for a guide dog at another organization, but unfortunately was denied. And I don't know why, but nonetheless, he was denied. And so they did not accept that. And so they started their very own guide dog organization. So 1939, they got this property that we're on currently still. It's 14 acres. It was originally an apple orchard with a farmhouse. And so they started their very own guide dog organization. And we've been continuing to grow ever since and provide more programs to more people.
Can you talk about the Polk Residence and Training Center?
Yeah, so we've got a really nice, beautiful Polk Residence Training Center. You know, when clients come, it's very similar to staying at a hotel. So clients come and they've got their own room, their own bathroom. We have a dining area. We have a workout facility. We have a pavilion outdoors and a really nice practice course. So clients can get out and walk around and just really experience, enjoy their experience while they're here.
Now, when the client receives a guide dog, does that guide dog stay there at the room with the client?
Yes. So clients in the guide dog program, they're usually here for about 3 weeks total. And the first couple days, they actually aren't introduced to their guide dog yet. So they work with our guide dog mobility instructors with an empty harness doing what we call Juno walks. And that's basically when the guide dog mobility instructor is kind of holding on to the front of the harness and pretending or simulating that they're the dog so that the client can get an idea of the feeling, of the movements, but also learn some of the commands so that when we actually introduce them to the dog, they've already got an idea of what to do, and then it'll make that transition a little bit easier. But once they receive their dog and they're interested or introduced to their dog, usually on day 2 or 3, then that dog is theirs and that dog stays with them in their room for the remainder of class. So there's, a little bed for the dog and a tie down, and the rooms have a back door that has access to a park area.
Okay. I think we're going to take our first break here.
Hi, I'm Christina Hepner.
And I'm Leslie Hoskins, and we're hosts of the Taking the Lead podcast from Leader Dogs for the Blind.
Our podcast provides insight into the blindness community and impactful stories from our clients.
At Leader Dog, we continue to be the answer for thousands who need our free services. These include guide dog training, white cane training, and more. Once clients complete training, they're reintroduced to a life of safety and independence.
Learn more at leaderdog.org.
Wisdom for the Blind is dedicated to doing everything we can for the blind and sight impaired. If you'd like to bless us with a donation to keep the website, the podcast, the webinars, and the radio station operating, we can't express how grateful we'd be. You can go to the website at w4tb.org. That's w4tb.org and hit the donation button. Or you can mail it to Wisdom for the Blind Incorporated. Attention donations. 1005 Marina Mile Boulevard, Suite 255, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, 33315. Wisdom for the Blind is a not-for-profit 501c3 organization. Remember, it's tax deductible. We thank you from the bottom of our hearts at Wisdom for the Blind. You're listening to W4TB Radio from the Wisdom for the Blind studios in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, where we share some wisdom to help you navigate the seas to stay in calm waters. Please visit us on the web at w4tb.org or drop us an email at feedback@w4tb.org. You can also download the W4TB radio app at the Apple Store or Google Play. Please share the knowledge and tell a friend. Now, back to the show.
Okay, Leslie, we're back. I want to talk about orientation and mobility now. Can you tell me how long the O&M program is at Leader Dog?
Yes. So our O&M program is 1 week long. So clients typically arrive on a Sunday and we train Monday through Friday. And then clients will depart on a Saturday. But we have been offering O&M for 20 years now. We're celebrating our 20th anniversary here at Leader Dog. So it's a very exciting time.
That must be a pretty intensive course for 1 week. Can you talk about how you start the client off and then when they're finished, what they're able to do?
Yeah, it's such a great program, and it's great because it's so unique and individualized to each person. So we work Monday through Friday. It's one-on-one with a certified orientation and mobility specialist here on campus. Throughout the week, we work together to create what the lessons are going to be or how the week's going to look. So I am a certified orientation mobility specialist. And when I do teach, I'll meet my client on Monday morning and we'll kind of talk about their goals. What do you want to get out of this week? What type of environments do you currently travel in? What kind of experience have you had so far? And kind of build all this information as much as we can. And then together we kind of create what we want to do in what environments. Whatever we learn Monday afternoon, we can build on Tuesday morning and again on Tuesday afternoon. So the week, it goes by really fast. A lot of times on Monday, we're like, well, we have so much time. And by Wednesday, we're like, oh no, we've got to fit in so many other things. But it's really, really a great program because it's individualized. It can be whatever that client needs. We really like to meet them at their skill level. Typically throughout the week, clients receive anywhere between 25 and 30 hours of direct instruction, which many times if you're receiving O&M from a different organization or agency, that is intense to get, like you said, all in 1 week. A lot of times, most itinerant models, you're only receiving an hour or two, maybe a week, or maybe even a month. So to be able to build on the skills, we're seeing a lot of really good success because, again, as mentioned, whatever we learn in the morning, we can build on again in the afternoon. And it's incredible to see the progress of clients from Monday to Friday because we're really able to build their skills, build their confidence, get them familiar with the environments. And then the goal would be that they would take all of those skills home and generalize them to their home environments. Because again, ideally, we've been practicing in very similar environments here. And so that they can take those skills home. And really, in a perfect world, they'd go home and work with a local O&M instructor to really build those routes and practice the skills that they learned here. So we love partnering with other organizations, other O&M, so that, if their client really needs to just learn the fundamental skills, come to us, we can do that. And then ideally, if they can go home and work on those independent routes that are specific to them, that's the perfect world. We know that doesn't happen often, but when it does, it's beautiful. But it is an intense week. Clients do have to have pretty good stamina to be able to keep up. But again, it's one-on-one. So we can make a lot of modifications. We can do shorter routes, but more frequently, or we could do one longer route and then take a little bit of a break. So it's nice because we can do whatever really the client needs to do.
Now, when during that week of instruction do you introduce the Victor Reader Trek?
So during O&M, clients actually don't use the Victor Reader Trek. Every now and then clients do, but during that week, we really want to focus on the orientation and mobility skills because you have to have those in place prior to starting to work with an accessible GPS. So we don't typically incorporate the Victor Reader Trek in O&M. That's more so for our guide dog training because when a client has been accepted for guide dog, we know that they've already met all of these different skill levels. So they're ready to kind of incorporate that new technology. But every now and then, if a client is really breezing through things and going really well and super interested in GPS, it is certainly something that we can talk about during that week of O&M as well.
Okay. Have you looked at the OrCam as far as an aid in navigation?
It's so interesting that you say that. So we hold collaboration events once a month where it's a live webinar and we partner with other organizations to kind of share the resources that they have. And we just partnered with OrCam. So we kind of learned a little bit more about it. It's not something that we have really tackled quite yet. And I don't know that we plan to in the future, but it is certainly something we just like to share resources while clients are here too. We focus mostly on mobility, so we don't get a lot into all the other kind of technology and voiceover and JAWS and all of that good stuff. But anytime we know about these types of products and we think a client could benefit from it, we certainly kind of pass along that information.
It's a great device. If you're on a corner, you can just look up at the street sign and take a picture of the street sign. The OrCam will read back the sign. It's a great device in navigation.
That is wonderful. I have heard great things about it.
It's also great if you're in a hospital or something and they have signs hanging off the ceiling or signs on the wall. You can stop and take a picture of those signs and then know whether you need to take a right or a left or you're at the right door. So it's a great device.
Awesome. That's really good to hear.
And now they have one that you just talk to. You don't have to reach up and touch the touch bar to take a picture. You can just talk to it. So it's a great device. How important is it we're sort of getting into the guide dog section now, but how important is it when you have a guide dog to also carry a cane and a GPS device?
Yeah, we encourage all of our clients who are guide dog users to travel with a cane with them, have that in a backpack or a carabiner clip attached to their belt loop or something like that. Because there's always times that you might run into that you need some tactile information, or heaven forbid your dog get injured in some sort of way and can't assist anymore. It's great to have that backup plan. So you can always put your dog in what we would call a heel position. And that basically means that you're dropping the harness handle and just kind of holding on to the leash. That kind of signifies to the dog that they're not responsible for guiding at that time. And so then you can get out your cane, explore the environment a little bit more if need be. And it's really just strongly, strongly encouraged, one, to always maintain your cane skills, whether or not you're a guide dog traveler, but two, to have that cane with you as an extra mobility device when traveling with a guide dog. The GPS is kind of a personal preference. We encourage having it. It's another tool in your pocket. It's another confirmation of when you're traveling, of where you're at and where you're going and how you're going to get there. But not all clients use it, and some clients prefer different types of GPS. But again, it is a really great tool to have, even if it's just as a backup option.
I heard your co-host, Timothy, mention that he was walking on a sidewalk and his dog stopped. And he said he was like, "Why are you stopping? What's wrong?" And he got his cane out and started exploring the sidewalk in front of the dog and noticed that there was a drop-off. Mm-hmm. So I guess it's very important to have that cane.
Yeah, there are some situations where you just need that tactile information, which is something you don't really get when traveling with a guide dog. The dogs are going to certainly protect you as much as they can and to stop you from that type of situation, but it is nice to explore. That's a perfect example.
Have you heard of the echolocation study that came out of England?
I'm not sure.
Okay. They started a study where visually impaired people were clicking their tongues. They taught them how to click their tongues a certain way and then listen for the echo. And that helped tremendously in their navigation.
Yes. So I for sure am familiar with echolocation. I wasn't sure exactly which study you were talking about, but there is a lot of research going into echolocation, and there really has been for a long time. Mobility instructors, it's interesting, go back and forth on it. Some of them are certainly very pro, and it's an incredible tool if you can learn to do it. I've attended a couple different conferences and sessions on it, and it's incredibly awesome. And it's pretty quick to learn, in fact. Other mobility instructors will say that it's not socially appropriate to be walking around clicking. But again, you can do it in a quiet, setting. It's a really important. And if you can tackle that skill, again, it's one more tool in your pocket. So I would always encourage whatever you can do to be successful and independently. But it is interesting in the O&M world to hear the different perspectives.
I actually like the pointed tip on a straight cane. When you're tapping, that gives you kind of an echolocation.
Yes, absolutely. You can get some really good sound feedback. And there's several different cane tips. There's the metal glide tip, or you can get a ceramic tip. You can get the pencil tip. So you can even pick kind of different sounds that you like out of the different materials that they are made of.
Talk about how the public should treat and interact with a visually impaired person and their guide dog.
Absolutely. What's so funny is so many people, what we witness is that people always say, "I know I shouldn't, but," and then they still go in to pet the dog. Of course, any service animal, whether it be a guide dog or some other service animal, we ask that you do not pet, do not interact, try not to make eye contact. Anything like that, or feeding the dog, is really distracting the dog and taking them away from their responsibility, which is keeping their handler safe and guiding them. So we would ask that you just ignore that the dog even exists. If you have questions, certainly you can ask the handler, and they can choose or choose not to respond and provide you that information. That's, of course, their right. And how much information they want to provide is totally up to them. But most times you're going to find that they're happy to share about their guide dog and how they got their dog and what their dog does and things like that. But be respectful, always ask, and if they say it's appropriate, then of course you can interact with the dog. But most handlers are going to say no if the dog is actively working, or they'll say, let me get the dog settled down. Let me take the harness off so the dog knows he's not working. And then maybe you can interact with the dog. But Overall, general rule is just ignore the dog. Act like it's not even there. And I know that's really hard to do, but it is the best thing you can do for everybody's safety.
Talk about the misconceptions of a guide dog being able to, when the handler says, let's go to McDonald's, that the guide dog knows what that is, or can read the stop sign, or can read the traffic lights.
Yeah.
Talk about that misconception.
There's a lot of misconceptions out there that a guide dog's kind of a fix-it button. It's going to just solve everybody's problems. And unfortunately, that's not true. I really do wish it was. These guide dogs are incredibly smart. They're very intuitive, but they have two main purposes. Their purposes are to stop at curbs and guide around obstacles. Now, granted, they can do some more other tasks, but breaking it down as simple as possible, those are their two main tasks, which means it's still the client's responsibility to determine where they're going and how they're going to get there. So that orientation piece of knowing how to get to that McDonald's and telling the dog whether to go straight or turn at each intersection or stop along the way. It's also up to the client to determine when and how to cross a street. So again, it'd be great if a dog knew how to tell, if the walking man was on or the red hand or the green light or red light. But unfortunately, they don't. So they are taught to stop at curbs. Our handlers then analyze the intersection, determine how is it controlled. Is it a stop sign? Is it a lighted intersection? And then they determine the best method of crossing, the method of least amount of risk. And they tell the dog forward. The dog does then take the first step out. And the dogs have been taught intelligent disobedience. And what that means is that if the client makes the wrong decision and says forward, but it's not the best time to go, the dog has been taught to stop the client or disobey the client, if you will. And a lot of that is just the dog's natural instinct. They're not going to want to walk out into a dangerous situation. If they see a car coming, they're, of course, going to stop and back up as well. So we just kind of encourage that natural instinct in those situations. But otherwise, it really is on the client to still navigate and then determine when to cross. It's kind of like the best thing that somebody said. It was like a car, right? When you get into a car, the person still has to decide where to go and follow all the traffic laws. Guide dog's kind of the same idea. They'll get you so far, but you still have to know where you're going and when to go.
Can you talk about how the leader dog, guide dog Glacier changed your co-host Timothy's life?
So Timothy is one of our hosts for our podcast called Taking the Lead. He is a client who lives in Georgia, and he has been here for orientation mobility and guide dog. He's currently working with his first guide dog, Glacier. Timothy describes it really well. So if you want to hear his interpretation, please listen to the podcast. But I think what we hear generally from most clients is an increase in confidence and independence. So being able to get out and know that you've got kind of that other companion with you, you're feeling a little bit more confident. And they're kind of, like in the traffic situation, there's a little bit of that safety net. If you do make a bad decision, they are there to hopefully help you through that. But it's feeling confident, it's feeling more independent, feeling like you can travel a little bit more easily. It's a personal preference, of course, between a cane and a guide dog. With a guide dog, you do travel a little bit more seamlessly. You're not running into objects because the whole idea of a guide dog is object avoidance and to walk around those obstacles, whereas a cane is object detector. So it's very, two different ways of traveling. But overall, what we hear from our clients overwhelmingly is that they have an increase of independence and an increase in confidence. Another thing they really like is that they are approached more often. People want to know about their dog. They want to interact, whereas sometimes traveling with the cane can be a little bit more isolating.
How do you determine whether a client is ready to enter the guide dog program?
So we follow the International Guide Dog Federation standards, which is an accrediting body that goes through and kind of has established these different standards of what clients need to meet, what skills they need to meet in order to be accepted for a guide dog. So there's several different things, but basically we want to make sure that they're, good overall people, that these families are going to, or the dogs will go to good homes, but we want to make sure that they're good independent cane travelers. So they know their orientation of where they're going, how they're going to get there. And then they also have good mobility skills to get there safely. So we're looking for really good orientation and mobility. And then again, that kind of lifestyle impact as well.
Can you talk about the different ways a client can receive a guide dog?
Yes. So we offer 4 different training formats for our guide dog training. We have the on-campus program, which is about 3 weeks long and the most common of our training options. We also have an in-home delivery for those that can't be away from home for 3 weeks' time. We have a flex program, which is kind of a combination of that on-campus and in-home options, a little bit of both. And then the 4th format or training option is that deaf-blind program. So that really unique, specific program to those who are blind and deaf or hard of hearing.
Okay, and you said the guide dog program is 3 weeks long?
It is. So when you come on campus, that training is about 3 weeks long, 21 days to be specific, and clients stay here on campus. The in-home training for guide dog is about 10 days long, but it's shorter because it's one-on-one instruction and it's tailored and it's in client-specific home environments. So it's a little bit shorter. And then the flex program is actually really unique. It's dependent on each individual client and what resources we have available and what's going to be the best fit for them.
Okay. We're going to take another break, so please stand by.
I took a musket ball in Chancellorsville.
Hi, I'm Mike Byer, Executive Director for Operation Song, where we pair Nashville's songwriters with veterans, active duty military, and their families to tell their stories through the process of songwriting. Our services are 100% free, and songwriting or musical talent is not required. For more information, check us out at operationsong.org. If you think this is something you're interested in, email us at contact@operationsong.org.
Till the last Monday in May.
What's more perfect than exploring new cultures while soaking up the sun and dipping your toes in turquoise waters? Doing these things with your family and, of course, your brothers and sisters from Wisdom for the Blind. Wisdom for the Blind is pleased to announce its first Caribbean Forum to be held on board Royal Caribbean's Harmony of the Seas. This dreamy vacation will be filled with thrilling experiences such as surfing, rock climbing, and even an electrifying 10-story plunge in the tallest slide at sea. This is not your average family getaway. There's fun and entertainment for all ages, but you'll also have learning workshops in technology and medical breakthroughs focused on the blind and vision impaired. We will sail from beautiful Miami on October 15th, 2023, visiting fabulous ports: Rotan in Honduras, Costa Maya and Cozumel in Mexico, and Royal Caribbean's private island, Coco Cay in the Bahamas. Add 2 spectacular days at sea, and while connecting with people that may experience the same challenges you do, you'll find unforgettable activities, make lasting memories, and soar to new heights. You'll learn about fascinating cultures and customs while tasting local delicacies and lounging in luxury. Wisdom for the Blind has also partnered with Operation Song, so you can have the opportunity to tell your service stories through songwriting. All of this and more starts at just $602 per person, based on double occupancy plus taxes and fees of $168. So what are you waiting for? Pack up your stuff, gather the crew, and head out on the open seas. You and your family will be talking about it for many years to come. Don't miss this great opportunity. Go to w4tb.org and find the button that says Caribbean Forum, or email us at forum@w4tb.org and book now. Space is limited. Don't forget to share the wisdom and tell a friend. You're listening to W4TB Radio from the Wisdom for the Blind Studios in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, where we share some wisdom to help you navigate the seas to stay in calm waters. Please visit us on the web at w4tb.org or drop us an email at feedback@w4tb.org. You can also download the W4TB radio app at the Apple Store or Google Play. Please share the knowledge and tell a friend. Now, back to the show.
Okay, Leslie, we're back. How does leader dog match a guide dog to the client?
That's a great question. I think there's so much that goes into it. Our guide dog mobility instructors take a lot of time getting to know as much as they possibly can about the client and about the dogs. So they're taking things into consideration such as the client's pace, how fast they're walking, the client's height, the pull they can handle, so kind of like their physical ability. And they're also looking at what type of environment they're traveling in. Are they in an urban environment, a rural environment? Are they around a bunch of children? So really trying to take all of this information and then kind of evaluate their dogs as they're training them to see who's going to be most successful in those types of environments with that type of pace and all of those different things. So there's a lot of information that goes into it. And I would say a lot of like science, if you will. And then there's also just that little bit of gut instinct and magic is a fun piece of it too. As our guide dog mobility instructors get more experience, they kind of observe different things here and there and have success or not. I think they do get a little bit better as time goes on. But we do have a webinar on our website under our virtual learning resources that we did a whole hour long, and a guide dog mobility instructor really breaks it down step by step by step because there's so much involved.
At what ages do you start teaching the guide dog training to? So what ages are the clients?
So we serve anybody who is 16 years or older. For all of our programs, you've got to be at least 16 years old. There are some other organizations that'll serve a little bit younger, but what we found is that you have to be a really mature and independent, successful teen to take on this much responsibility. We often refer to guide dogs as being babies. They're another living thing that you've got to be responsible for their daily needs and financial responsibilities. So there's a lot that goes into it. So you got to be at least 16 here at Leader Dog.
Can you talk about the Canine Development Center and the positive reinforcement to train a guide dog?
Yeah, we are so fortunate that I believe within the last 5 years was the renovation of our Canine Development Center. It was a huge, huge project. And it was so important because our dogs are obviously a huge priority to our organization. And they were coming in and the kennels that they were in were really small and they didn't face anything. They were kind of all up just looking at the back of another set of kennels. And so it was very stressful for these dogs after they'd spent a year with their puppy raisers to come back to this type of environment. And so the Canine Development Center took all of these ideas and considerations into mind and created this beautiful environment where the dogs have so much space in their kennels and in their suites, I guess is what we call them. But they also all face kind of towards the inside or the middle of the room so that when a person enters the room, all the dogs can see. And that really relieves a lot of stress because the dogs are aware of the sounds and the things that are happening around them. They also have state-of-the-art floors and filtration systems and air purifiers and all of that good stuff. And then, of course, in the center of it is our wonderful vet clinic where our vets work and care and provide all the medical needs for these dogs as well.
So what do they mean by positive reinforcement?
Yes. So we use positive reinforcement. And what that means is we encourage the good behavior. So when a dog does something that we want them to do, we reinforce that usually with a treat and a click. They use a lot of clicker training. And so we're positively reinforcing all these good actions and focusing on all the good things that they're doing versus kind of like the punishment, which was the old style of training dogs. We've had a lot more success with positive reinforcement. The dogs are much happier, obviously, with positive reinforcement, and they learn so quickly. They learn as soon as they hear that click that they've done something right and they get a treat. And then that process continues. And as they go, eventually the click is taken away and eventually it's random treats. So it's not every time they do that action. But yeah, our guide dog mobility instructors use it for all of training and the dogs learn so quickly.
What happens to a dog who is disqualified for health reasons or has had more than 4 litters?
So dogs will be career changed is what we call it. They just chose a different career path. Dogs can be career changed at any time during the formal training process, whether that be for medical issues, as you mentioned, or whether it be for behavioral or temperamental. They can be career changed after they're done with their breeding host responsibilities if they choose or if they go into the breeding program. again, their career change. So at that time, the breeding dogs would stay with their host families and most likely just continue their life as a pet there. The dogs that are career change that have gone into training, the first thing we try to do is to find them another career, actually. So we work and partner with other organizations and we evaluate the dogs for a different type of service animal. And so we'll do that first. If they don't work out for any of those options, then we'll usually call their puppy raiser, who they spent the first year of their life with, and say, Juno is career change. Are you interested in adopting Juno? Sometimes they are, sometimes they aren't for various reasons. And if they can't, then we have a very, very long list of people who are waiting for a career change dog. So it is very important to us that all dogs go to a loving home and find a good place to live out their lives.
What breeds do you offer the leader dog clients?
Currently, we're using Labradors, Golden Retrievers, and German Shepherds. And then we actually use mixes of those. So we use Lab Golden Crosses. We're actually crossing now with our Shepherds. And these are the three breeds that we've had the most success with throughout the years.
We're going to talk about the Summer Experience Camp now. Can you tell us what that is?
I would love to. Camp is truly a passion of mine. It's absolutely the most fun week. It's the most exhausting week, but it takes place typically the last week of June. So we just wrapped up our camp this year. It's for 16 and 17-year-olds who are legally blind, and they travel again from all over the U.S. and Canada, completely free. And we do so many fun things throughout the week. We talk about leadership skills and how these kids can absolutely be leaders in their communities and their friend groups and their schools and their sports. We talk about accessible GPS, such as the HumanWare Victor Reader Track, which all of the campers go home with. We talk about mobility options, such as guide dog travel. They spend a full day with a guide dog to really understand the realistic expectations of traveling with a guide dog. Besides that, we do fun stuff. We go rock wall climbing, zip lining. We do low ropes courses. This year we had a zombie apocalypse, a talent show, just so many great things. The best part about camp is that these teens are meeting other teens like themselves, developing friendships and relationships, and having somebody they can call, and the person on the other line of the phone just gets it. They're going through it too.
Now, Leader Dog is a nonprofit. How can one donate?
You can go to our website, super easy, at leaderdog.org. You can send in a check. You can participate in fundraisers. There is numerous ways. We're always available.
Can you give the telephone number and website address again?
Absolutely. You can reach us at 888-777-5332, or you can find us at our website, leaderdog.org.
Now, how important has the Lions Club been over the years for Leader Dog?
Oh, incredible. Like I said, they were kind of our foundation. They built and established the organization and then have continued to just be such supporters, and in all shapes of the way supported. Of course, they donate money and they do fundraisers and different events, but also they help our clients out in the world with vet bills or sometimes with food expenses. They also are the ones that we call sometimes if a client needs help making an application video, and we'll say, reach out to your local Lions, or if they need a ride to the airport to, hop on the plane to come here, sometimes we'll say, reach out to your local Lions. So they're so incredibly important to this organization, because they're huge financial supporters, but there are boots on the ground. They're often telling people about Leader Dog when they're seeing people out in the community. So many of our clients will ask them, how'd you hear about Leader Dog? Oh, well, I was at an event and this Lions Club person came over to me. And so they're just huge, huge supporters in every sense of the word.
Talk to me about the Taking the Lead podcast, why you are doing the podcast, when you started, those kinds of things.
Yeah, so we have had a podcast on our list of things of wanting to do for a long time. It's a really incredible, accessible format to share information and get out there. So it's called Taking the Lead, and myself and I have two other co-hosts, Christina Hepner and Timothy Cuneo. And so the three of us, every week we release an episode and we talk about blindness and what's going on in the community and issues that people face. We have clients on to share their stories and their experiences and to share and talk about Leader Dog as well. We also have team members on and volunteers. And so everybody that's involved in Leader Dog and really makes us what we are They're all included in the podcast, and we're just sharing this information. It's incredibly fun. We have a really great time. I'd encourage anybody to listen to it. Again, it's called Taking the Lead by Leader Dogs for the Blind, and you can find it wherever you stream your podcasts.
You and your co-host do sound like you're having fun. You laugh a lot.
Thank you. We do have a really good time. The three of us get along really well. We clicked instantly. And Timothy's actually coming up to visit next month. So we're delighted to all be in the same room and just really enjoy each other's company.
Yeah, it's a nice podcast. I like listening to it.
Thank you.
Does Leader Dog also have a blog?
We do. So we do post some blogs. You can find those at our website. We try to regularly post new content from different perspectives, whether that be clients or team members or, again, volunteers or puppy raisers. Just different perspectives on the Leader Dog organization and all of the people that are involved.
What is the Leader Dog impact?
So the Leader Dog impact is really a couple different things. The feedback we get from our clients is, again, overall increase in independence and confidence, but also being more involved in the community. So having access to community events and things that are taking place because they can be independent travelers. We've also seen and heard back from families that they feel more relieved that their family members are traveling independently. We've also seen an increase in health and wellness because, again, clients can get out and be independent and do those exercise routes and get to the gym or whatever that they want to do. We've seen an increase in employment because clients can get the bus to go back to school to maybe further their education or to get to that job interview that they've been wanting to go to. So overall, it's honestly just an improvement of lifestyle with all of that coming back. And that's the feedback that we're getting from our clients, the direct impact that whether it be O&M training or guide dog training overall is having a healthy impact on their lives and a positive impact.
If somebody were to walk up to you and ask you why Leader Dog, what would you say?
Oh, gosh, that would be a tough one. I'm incredibly passionate about what we do here at Leader Dog. I've been here for 8 years, I guess 9 years, and I've seen it firsthand every single day, the impact that we're making on people's lives. And it seems like such a small thing on our end, but getting to watch clients reach their goals of traveling independently and maybe going back to school or getting that job that they've always wanted or being able to go see their grandchildren or moms who can take their kids to school independently or to the park, whatever their goal is. And even if it's getting to the mailbox independently, I'm not here to decide what independence means to each individual person, but we are certainly here to help them along the way. And we're just delighted to do that in several different training options and to be a part of it. Leader Dog, just for me, it's the answer. When we say that people join the Leader Dog family, we truly mean that in all aspects. It is absolutely a family, and we support each other, clients, team members, volunteers, through and through.
And you mentioned that training was year-round, correct?
Yes. So we have clients on campus almost every week of the year, except for like major holidays. Usually we don't have clients on campus.
The winter time in Michigan?
Oh, yeah. We're out there in the snow, the rain, the ice, you name it, we're doing it.
Okay, this is going to be my last question. Timothy mentioned the food in one of the podcasts. Can you talk about the food for a client who's thinking about Leader Dog?
I will talk about how incredibly amazing our team members are. Our kitchen team, our resident assistant team, everybody in that residence, the maintenance team, the facilities, everybody is incredibly just great, right? They bend over backwards to make our clients comfortable. We know, especially nowadays, so many people have food allergies, dietary restrictions, or religious things that go involved in their food. And our team takes that so seriously. And they call clients ahead of time. They go through menus. They just are overwhelmingly accommodating. Just recently, we had campers here, as mentioned. And so they do try to do a very kid-friendly diet during that week. But there were a couple times where they set the meal down in front of the camper and the camper's like, I don't eat this. And they switch. They're offering all of these other options so quickly because they don't ever want anybody to go hungry. And they do everything they can to make sure that we're meeting all of everybody's unique needs. But the food overall is just delicious. The one I always talk about is the Mile High Taco Pie. It's so good. We actually created a cookbook from all the recipes because clients were asking all the time to get all these recipes. So we actually developed a cookbook with all their most famous things. I've tried making them at home and something about it, they're just never the same. So there's that extra little bit of love that goes into it here.
Yeah, wow. Okay, Leslie, we're at the end of our time, and I think I've answered or asked you all the questions that I wanted to. Is there anything else you'd like to say?
I don't think so. I just want to thank you for having me on and to share all about Leader Dog. Please note that anybody is welcome to reach out to us at any time to answer any additional questions.
Can you give the phone number and the website address one more time?
Absolutely. You can reach us at 888-777-5332. And you can find a whole bunch more information at leaderdog.org.
I just want to say in closing, Leslie, that I'm very impressed with Leader Dog. You were the only one that made contact with me and said that you'd do the podcast. I've looked at your website, I've looked at your email and listened to your podcast, and I'm very impressed with Leader Dog. So thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you for having us. It was great. Delighted to be here.
Okay. And now we're going to throw it to Ellie for any upcoming news or mail.
Do you enjoy a good read? Or do you enjoy sharing new books with friends? Then join us on the second Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Wisdom Books, a virtual book club just for the blind or visually impaired. You can also hear a pre-recorded episode on Wisdom Radio every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern. For more information, go to w4tb.org and click the link Wisdom Books for more information. And please don't forget to share the wisdom.
Hi, I'm Christina Hepner.
And I'm Leslie Hoskins, and we're hosts of the Taking the Lead podcast from Leader Dogs for the Blind.
Our podcast provides insight into the blindness community and impactful stories from our clients.
At Leader Dog, we continue to be the answer for thousands who need our free services. These include guide dog training, white cane training, and more. Once clients complete training, they're reintroduced to a life of safety and independence.
Learn more at leaderdog.org.
You're listening to W4TB Radio from the Wisdom for the Blind Studios in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, where we share some wisdom to help you navigate the seas to stay in calm waters. Please visit us on the web at w4tb.org or drop us an email at feedback@w4tb.org. You can also download the W4TB radio app at the Apple Store or Google Play. Please share the knowledge and tell a friend. Now, back to the show.
Thanks, Doug. And to our listeners, thanks for dropping in today to the 5-Minute Flash, where we bring you up-to-date knowledge of hot topics. Now to our first story. Wisdom for the Blind held a Feel to See Experience event in Franklin, Tennessee, right outside of Nashville on December 5th with our partners Operation Song. As Operation Song celebrated their 10th year anniversary with a concert, they were kind enough to provide Wisdom for the Blind a handful of tickets so we may share the great experience with blind or visually impaired veterans from the Nashville VA. One of the veterans who attended this event was Kathy, who wrote us to let us know how much her husband and her enjoyed the event tremendously. During another event, Wisdom for the Blind held the third launch viewing event on November 16th. The Artemis 1 finally took off with a flawless launch with a handful of veterans, family members, and caregivers. The group had the opportunity to see it as it launched at 1:47 in the morning. During its first Feel to See Experience event in September, W4TB hosted 40 veterans, family members, and caregivers to this 3-day event, where the participants had the opportunity to enjoy a day at the NASA Cape Canaveral Visitor Center, attend a private reception hosted by the director of the Johnson Space Center in Houston, and learn about the Artemis mission in an overview with Tracy Minish, Mission Control Center Integration Outreach Specialist with NASA. Wisdom for the Blind also hosted a barbecue dinner with guest speaker Dr. Stan Love, an astronaut who flew on the shuttle. Dr. Love, held an awesome presentation and kept the veterans' engagement to the max. Finally, the participants had the opportunity to enjoy the launch from a VIP viewing stand where they were able to view Artemis 1's attempt to take off. Even though the launch was canceled due to mechanical failures, the participants of the Field 2C experience hosted by Wisdom for the Blind and NASA, allowing our participants to be ingrained with wonderful shared memories forever. We would like to once again thank our contributors and sponsors for making this event happen. The Orcam Company, Southern Florida Maritime Lions Club Organization, and O&G, the best media team ever. Wisdom for the Blind is excited to announce 3 upcoming events. First, W4TB will be at the Vision Awareness Day Expo held in the Villages in February. For more information, go to w4tb.org. To help us celebrate our first-year anniversary, Wisdom for the Blind will throw a party with a special Field 2C experience event by going deep-sea fishing on board the Double Eagle 3, sailing out of Clearwater Beach, Florida on May 5, 2023. Finally, Wisdom for the Blind will be hosting Wisdom Forum at Sea, a cruise to the Caribbean. This event will present workshops, new technology reviews, songwriting sessions with our partners at operationsong.org, the Wisdom Games, team building exercises, and much, much more on October 15th of 2023. If you are interested in future events that Wisdom for the Blind will be hosting, or if you want more information, please visit our site w4tb.org. Now let's take a look in the Wisdom for the Blind inbox and see what our viewers have to say this week. First, Eddie from Florida, one of the World War II veterans who attended all 3 Field 2C Experience Artemis 1 event at Cape Canaveral, wrote, "Thanks for the special way you put a smile in my day. I had the best day of my life in the last 103 years. I felt so special, just like a king. It was so wonderful meeting all the special people and astronauts. I had a wonderful day. Thanks to the Wisdom for the Blind team for making this happen. Many thanks. Eddie." Eddie, thank you so much for your feedback. To listeners, check out our website for information on upcoming Field 2C experience events and book today. Next, a veteran from New York asked, "We really love the podcast series Insight to the VA. If we would like to contribute to keep new episodes coming, how can we help?" The best way for listeners to support us is to donate. If you would like to contribute, there are 2 different ways. The first way is to go to the Wisdom for the Blind website at w4bv.org from a browser, then hit the Donate Now button to get to a secure form to fill out. The second way is to mail a check to Wisdom for the Blind Attention Donations at 1005 Marina Mile Boulevard, Suite 255, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, 33315. All donations will help keep the Wisdom coming and is tax deductible. Thanks for your question. To our listeners, please remember that if you have any kind of feedback, you can always email them to feedback@w4tb.org. Should you need more information on service dogs, please go to w4tb.org. Or you can also email us at info@w4tb.org. Please remember to download the Amazon Alexa skill Wisdom for the Blind Radio, or go to the Apple Store and download the Wisdom for the Blind Radio app to listen to Wisdom Radio 24 hours a day at any time for up-to-date news, podcasts, events, and even some good music. This is Ellie with Wisdom for the Blind Studios. Back to you, Doug.
VA's Office of Blind Rehabilitation Services estimates there are approximately 130,000 veterans in the United States who are legally blind, and more than 1 million veterans who have low vision that causes a loss of ability to perform necessary daily activities. In this era of instant communication, where we get overwhelmed with data or facts that are useless to unsighted individuals, wouldn't it be great if we could count on news focused on real problems that impact the daily lives of veterans without sight? Introducing Wisdom for Blinded Veterans, an advanced informational portal designed by blind veterans specifically for blind and vision impaired vets that, like them, are facing challenges every day. Hi, my name is Ben, and I know the frustration. I've struggled in day-to-day tasks for over 20 years since I lost my eyesight. One of my biggest challenges has always been trying to stay up to date with the latest information of my eye disease, local news, and the ever-changing technology. I wanted to be able to have one single site that merged all the data scattered, and that's why we created Wisdom for Blinded Vets. This is a portal that can be accessed via the web, a smartphone app, telephone, email, text messaging, or Amazon's Alexa. It integrates with readers such as JAWS or Apple's VoiceOver and various other tools to give you a seamless experience. This portal will keep us updated on a variety of topics and will share knowledge that can help make our lives easier and more fulfilled. Highlights of the topics covered on the portal include podcasts, events, news, blind rehab and training, information on the BVA and other groups, a list of coordinator and bros list, online groups to interact with fellow vets facing the same challenges, and much more. Give us a try. You will not be disappointed. To learn more about us, visit our website www.w4bv.org. If you're interested in sharing your knowledge, please consider becoming a contributor by logging into our portal and going to the contributor section for more information. Wisdom for Blinded Veterans, transforming blind veterans' lives.
You're listening to W4TB Radio from the Wisdom for the Blind Studios in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, where we share some wisdom to help you navigate the seas to stay in calm waters. Please visit us on the web at w4tb.org or drop us an email at feedback@w4tb.org. You can also download the W4TB Radio app at the Apple Store or Google Play. Please share the knowledge and tell a friend. Now, back to the show.
Thanks again to Leslie Hoskins from Leader Dog. This was a great podcast, a lot of information. My name is Doug Cram, and this has been Share the Wisdom. Take care.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Share. Please look out for the next episode ping soon and visit us on the web at www.w4bv.org. This has been Share with your host, Mr. Douglas Cram. Produced by Wisdom for the Blind and VNS Productions, a division of VNS International.
Wisdom for the Blind is dedicated to doing everything we can for the blind and sight impaired. If you'd like to bless us with a donation to keep the website, the podcast, the webinars, and the radio station operating, we can't express how grateful we'd be. You can go to the website at w4tb.org. That's W4TB.org and hit the donation button. Or you can mail it to Wisdom for the Blind Incorporated. Attention donations. 1005 Marina Mile Boulevard, Suite 255, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, 33315. Wisdom for the Blind is a not-for-profit 501c3 organization. Remember, it's tax deductible. We thank you from the bottom of our hearts at Wisdom for the Blind. You're listening to W4TB Radio from the Wisdom for the Blind Studios in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, where we share some wisdom to help you navigate the seas to stay in calm waters. Please visit us on the web at w4tb.org or drop us an email at feedback@w4tb.org. You can also download the W4TB Radio app at the Apple Store or Google Play. Please share the knowledge and tell a friend. Now, back to the show.